We will be able to put to use the ideas of many colonists that would be the best for our nation, such as a republic.
Well, the colonists feel that you're a tyrant. How do you respond to this claim?
How do I respond? I respond with the simple fact that the colonists are filth. Filth who fail to recognize what's in the best interests of themselves and their country. I'm aware that they aren't pleased with the intolerable acts, laws, taxes. However, their reasoning is beyond me.
How do you figure that?
Let's consider this. The citizens of the island of Britain pay the very same taxes. Do they complain? No. They are proud to be British.
While the royalty expected the colonists to follow laws and acts that were being passed like the citizens in England were, the royalty failed to ever take into account what the colonists felt. The Courting Act of 1765 was passed through the expiration of an act that had provided for the courting of British soldiers, and colonists were now expected to allow soldiers a place in their homes, even though the French had already been defeated and no immediate threat was posed towards the colonies. Also, with the passing of the Stamp and Sugar Acts, the colonists felt they were being taxed unfairly due to the lack of representation of their opinions in British politics. The way of life in the colonies was much different than that in Britain, yet the decisions made to affect the colonists were still made by the British Crown without colonial input. As this carried on, colonists began to drift further and further away from British rule.
Time's almost up, but in your eyes, why did we have to fight Britain?
For all intents and purposes, up until 1767, I considered myself to be a loyal British subject. However, England, and more specifically the royalty, began to abuse their power, which angered many colonists, including myself, and drove a wedge between the colonies and England. I did not take part in the Revolution until the Townshend Acts of 1767. I believe that these acts were fundamental violations by the Crown to the rights of Englishmen.
On December 16, 1773, colonists led by Samuel Adams and the Sons of Liberty protested against the British Tea Act by boarding tea ships in the Boston harbor and dumping British crates of tea into the water. A key event in the growth of the Revolution, the Boston Tea Party led to British Parliament passing the Intolerable Acts, which effectively ended self-government in Massachusetts, and closed Boston's commerce. These acts led to further protests in the colonies and sparked violence in the Revolution.
Why do you support the Intolerable Acts?
Because those bloody Yanks threw our tea into the depths of the Boston Harbor. Therefore, discipline is necessary.
And with the support of the British royalty behind the Intolerable Acts, the stage was set for the Revolution.
The cartoon is a snake cut into 13 pieces. It represents that the belly of the snake can't hurt you, neither can the tail nor the head by itself, but put together, snakes can be quite dangerous. And that is how we need to attack Britain, as one full snake, being all 13 colonies united as one nation.
Then, on July 4th, 1776, the Continental Congress, consisting of delegates from the 13 colonies, adopted a document known as the Declaration of Independence. This document informed England the colonies now officially considered themselves independent from British rule. Though much fighting had already occurred, the declaration marked the beginning of a unified war effort against the armies of England. The document passed with a vote of 12 delegates for and 1 delegate abstaining from the vote.
European plus become very influential in the colonies. What drew you into writing it?
Well, many Americans are very dependent on their relationship with Britain, and I wanted to write this pamphlet to motivate Americans to break away from Britain and become independent.
While the lifestyles and backgrounds of many people who lived in the different colonies may have been extremely diverse, the negative consequences of the actions of the British government and campaigning of many patriots like Paul Revere, Benjamin Franklin, and Sam Adams caused many colonists to unite under the idea of colonial freedom. Militias were raised from volunteers who were willing to lay down their lives for freedom, and fighting went into full effect under the lead of George Washington. The colonies were ready to reach their full potential as an independent nation, where the voices of citizens would actually be listened to, unlike the existing system with Britain.
Through victories on the battlefield, a new nation was formed on the soil of America. Had the colonists not turned to revolution in times of trouble, things would be very different today. From the shot heard round the world at Lexington and Concord, to the signing of the Treaty of Paris, and the United States Constitution, the 13 British colonies, despite all of their differences, came together to escape the harsh treatment they were subjected to under the British monarchy, and to form the United States of America. In the words of Patrick Henry, "Is life so dear, or peace so sweet, as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Give me liberty, or give me death."
This land is your land, and this land is my land, from the California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me.